What's up guys, I'm Josh Mosman, and in this video we are testing the 2023 and a half Husqvarna FC450 Rockstar Edition bike. Now this is, yes, the all new platform, but man, I guess we can't really say it's all new. This platform came on last year's 2022 and a half Factory Edition or Rockstar Edition Husky FC450. Then the 2023 model came out. It was the lowered chassis. This Husky FC450 is the standard height, same height as the KTM 450, same height as the KTM 450 Factory Edition, but it does have a couple different parts on it. It's got the extra triple clamps, it's got the Factory Edition wheels, and it has that beautiful FMF muffler on it. So just the muffler, not the header, but we know a lot about this bike already. We've been putting quite a few hours on it so far. In this video, we're gonna break down the pros and cons of this bike, tell you all that you need to know about the FC450 Rockstar Edition. All right guys, so the 2023 Husqvarna FC450 Rockstar Edition is the factory edition model of the stock 2023 FC450, but the big difference is this doesn't have the lowered suspension that comes on all of the standard model Husqvarna 4-strokes and 2-stroke big bikes. The big question is, why does Husqvarna not put the lowered suspension on these bikes? Well, when you ask the Husqvarna guys, they'll tell you that, hey, our factory riders, Malcolm Stewart, Christian Craig, RJ Hampshire, they run standard suspension. They don't run the lowered platform. So for us, we're gonna run the standard suspension on our Rockstar Edition bikes. But the real answer is that it's a lot cheaper for KTM, Husqvarna, for WP, who makes all of their suspension, to print the same air forks for KTM and Husqvarna, Rockstar Edition, Factory Edition, the same shock, KTM, Husqvarna, the same linkage, just to make things seamless across the board, make it go down the production line a lot quicker, and to save a lot of money and time as well. So the lowered suspension on the FC450 is actually something that we give a big double thumbs up to, because it separates the Husky from the KTM. When you have the same suspension, the same WP air forks, and the same WP shock on both bikes, it makes it hard to tell the difference between KTM and Husqvarna. We like the lowered chassis and lowered suspension on the production bikes. The forks are 10 millimeters shorter. The shock has been shortened with a longer seal head, and also the linkage ratio was revised to make sure that it brings the rear end of the bike down about an inch. So from the seat to the ground, the Husqvarna is about an inch shorter. Not so on the Rockstar Edition that I have here behind me. This is the same KTM suspension. It's the same settings, fairly on the stiff side for a stock motorcycle, where the production 23 FC450 is quite a bit softer and quite a bit lower. So those are the big difference about this bike. Another thing you should know, when this generation model was introduced in 2022, they brought out the Husky FC450 Factory Edition. It had the same engine, same chassis, same suspension, but last year's bike didn't come with the FMF muffler that we have on this bike, and we really like it. It sounds a lot faster, sounds a lot racier, and adds a little more power down the straightaways as well. Going over a list of the changes between the stock FC450 and the Rockstar Edition model, obviously the cosmetics are a big one. I'm not a huge fan, and really nobody on the MXA Wrecking Crew is a huge fan of the blue frame that comes stock on the Husky FC450 for 2023. It's kind of an off blue. It looks black, but it just doesn't look good. Either go black or go white. I personally love the white frame on the Huskies. The only downside to white frames is for guys who ride on the East Coast and orange dirt, because it will stain the frames, but it's got the black Rockstar Edition plastics with Rockstar logos all the way across. The Husky FC450 for 23, gray, yellow, and white. Pretty weird combination. This bike comes with a Pro Taper bar pad. It's the same Pro Taper handlebars that come on the stock Husky FC450. The Husqvarna bend, it's low, flat, a little bit wider than the standard handlebars that come on the KTM, but this one gets the Pro Taper bar pad. The seat cover, this comes with a black Guts seat cover. This is a little bit of a different material than what you get if you order a custom seat cover straight from Guts. The wheels, they're all black rims, black spokes, black nipples, and black hubs. These are the Rockstar Edition wheels. They're the factory power parts wheels that you can buy straight through KTM and Husqvarna. They come with black Takasago XL rims, and they have a 3-spoke pattern on the front rim, which adds a little bit of strength and a little bit of rigidity to it as well. As for the triple clamps, these are black anodized WP power parts triple clamps. They come with dual offsets, so you can actually adjust it from the stock 22 mil to the 20 mil to try it out. Also, as for the clutch cover, there's actually no parts from Recluse inside of the clutch, but it does have the Recluse clutch cover on the side. As for other miscellaneous other parts, it does come with the factory power parts hole shot device, gray ODI grips. It's got a semi-floating front brake rotor, and it has a factory power parts composite skid plate on it as well. This new FC450 engine, this thing is a fire-breathing monster. In the stock map, the white map, it's already extremely fast, and then the difference between stock and aggressive, the green map, is a big difference, which we really appreciate from Husqvarna. The fact that map 1 and map 2 have a big difference gives you a tuning option that you can click between on your handlebars and mess with on the track. If the track's deep and you want a little extra power, click it into map 2. If it's dry, slippery, or if you have a longer moto and you want to be able to hold onto the bike longer, go with map 1. I personally race with map 1 all the time on the KTM and Husqvarna new generation bikes because this engine is so fast. One difference about this engine compared to the KTM factory edition, the KTM stock bike, the KTM subframe has 2 holes underneath the seat to where you can stick your arm through, you can see through the bike. The Husqvarna, it's completely closed off underneath the seat, which actually lessens the amount of air that can get into the airbox. It makes it a little bit smoother off the bottom end, a little bit of a more mellow power, not quite as aggressive off the crack of the throttle. That's something that our vet test riders appreciate about this bike, and with the overall horsepower top end, it still pulls extremely well, hitting almost 60 horsepower on the FC450. So that closed off airbox doesn't really hurt overall power, but it definitely mutes the power off the crack of the throttle. Along with the power and the mapping, the Husky FC450 and the KTM models, they come with quick shift for 2023. Quick shift is pretty interesting at first glance. I thought it would be pretty cool, especially going down the long start straightaways here at Glen Helen, but it's something you really have to get used to, and I think it's 50-50 or even less, maybe 60-40 on riders that don't like it versus riders that do like it. The reason you wouldn't like quick shift is because of the sound it makes when you're shifting and just different feel you get on the track. KTM is already known for having great shifting, great transmissions that are strong, durable, and just easy to click between gears on. The Pankel transmissions are high-end. Pankel makes F1 transmissions. They make high-end race car transmissions, so it's pretty awesome to have Pankel transmissions in your KTM Husqvarna gas bike. The quick shifting almost doesn't feel necessary to me. I don't like to use it. One reason why is because when you do quick shift, it's actually cutting the ignition and basically stopping the power of the motorcycle just for a split second so that you can shift up just that much quicker. It's something that's been taken over from road racing. Road race guys that just want to shift up quickly coming out of corners to go down the straightaways at 140 miles an hour. We're not really doing that as much on these bikes. We're not clicking 2 gears at one time. So for me, it's a lot easier just to use standard shifting, but it is a pretty cool feature that KTM has added that into the map switch on this bike. It also comes with traction control. Traction control monitors the RPMs. If your RPM spike as you come out of the corner because you hit a slick spot, it'll detune the bike just a little bit, make it a little bit easier to ride. Personally, I've actually liked traction control in the past a little bit more. For 2023, it feels like it almost mutes the bike a little too much. That's something that's just rider preference. Talking about the handling of the Rockstar Edition FC450, this bike handles a lot different than the stock FC450. The suspension on this one is a lot stiffer, it sits up a lot taller, and just overall rides more like a race bike set up for a pro rather than a FC450 23 bike, which I would say is definitely tailored towards the novice and vet riders. It's a little bit softer suspension wise, and having it lower to the ground is definitely confidence inspiring if you're not as tall. One big misconception though with the lowered chassis is that a taller guy wouldn't fit as well on it. Seat to foot peg to handlebar distance, that rider triangle that we always talk about, it's the exact same on the lowered chassis. So you're not gonna hit your knees in the bars any easier with the lowered chassis. It actually is a lot easier to corner with the lowered chassis, especially finding inside ruts, especially if the track doesn't have deep ruts or soft berms to bank off of. If it's hard pack and slick, it's a lot easier to find your turn in the FC450. If the track is real deep, rutted, has big, deep braking bumps, I would prefer the stronger holdup and of the full suspension travel FC450 Rockstar Edition or the KTM 450. But talking about how this bike handles on the track, it does have engine rotated countershaft sprocket, brings that 3 mil lower. What that does is lessens chain torque. It makes the rear end ride a little taller on this bike, but it also improves traction coming out of corners as well. So a little bit of pros and cons. Seat is a little bit taller through the corners, makes it a little bit harder to get in and out of ruts, but it does help getting traction down the straightaways and on the corner exit. Another change about the new chassis on this bike, it's definitely a lot heavier on the front end and a lot stiffer. So we recommend at least 10 hours of braking time on the FC450, because before 10 hours this thing is stiff and rigid. It takes a couple hours for the air forks to break in, all the seals to get working in properly, but the frame, especially on these 450 models, takes, we say, 10 hours. I will say also that this Rockstar Edition broke in a little bit quicker than our previous 2023 model and our 2023 KTM. So maybe KTM has sneakily changed something on the frame to make it break in a little bit easier, a little bit softer, but so far our test riders are really liking this Rockstar Edition, and we have only 6 hours on it so far. Because it is a little more stiff and because the rear end rides a little bit taller, I would say it's a lot more balanced than the previous 2022 FC450. Not as much rocking back to forth, not as much pitching coming into corners. Overall, it's a pretty balanced motorcycle. So a couple things you need to watch out for in this bike. The spokes do come loose, so be sure to check the spokes, especially when it's brand new. Let them set in. Be sure to check them every time you're on the track as they're breaking in your new wheels. Also, be sure to keep an eye out on the start-stop switch on the handlebars. If you spray that thing too much with your pressure washer, you could get some water in the electrical equipment, and that will cause some electrical issues that you definitely don't want to have. So your seat is one thing you definitely don't want to focus your pressure washer on, because you don't want your seat foam to get soaked with water. You also don't want your start-stop switch to get soaked with water either, so make sure to protect that when you're washing your bike. This FC450 Rockstar Edition is a lot of fun to ride on the track. If you want to know more about this bike, be sure to stay tuned to Motocross Action magazine. Subscribe to the magazine for only $24.99 a year, and we will send you a free $25 e-gift card to Rocky Mountain ATV MC online. They have a huge store with parts, gear, everything you need to go riding. So you spend $25 with us, you get $25 with Rocky Mountain. It's kind of like a win-win. Appreciate you guys for doing that. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to Motocross Action Mag YouTube, and also check us out on Instagram at Motocross Action Mag. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.